So if you talk to us about the soil here, we touched on it in that it's really, really fertile. Lots and lots of farmers are trying to do things about carbon, about soil health.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Well, at the minute, we're trying our best to minimise tillage, as everyone is. We're trying to go straight in.
Yeah.
I'm trying cover crops. I've also got a field, been done the same with clover.
Yeah.
I'm having to go at that. Now, I've got to admit, potatoes, I'm not messing about with because the seeds just cost me 485 quid or whatever it's cost me. The fertilisers cost me, I daren't even look at my bill, so I don't know how much that is. And that's only the two, not even trying to get them in the ground and stuff. So I don't want to mess about and gamble all that on new techniques. I will look at them in the future. I'm not saying no. But until someone can guarantee me that it's going to work, then I will do it. But potatoes, I don't mess about with. Do you want to look at my other shed of potato equipment?
Yeah.
I have another
and
shed full and tractor. Here we go in the cab. I have a DA radio, which is very important.
Luxury.
Luxury. If we turn it on, this is the bit where it all just lights up. So the steering wheel's adjustable, so everyone can drive it, no matter how big or small you are. The seat goes up and down. As you can see, it goes up and down. It's an air seat, so we go over a bump. So yeah, this is the tractor. I've had this since, it's brand new actually. It's one of the first ones that, when the R series come out, I had.
Yeah, so talk to us about the number, because this is a 6190, isn't it?
Again, going back to my school talk, normally this is a John Deere tractor, and the 6190R probably doesn't mean much to anyone else, but to someone in the know and who likes tractors, you know this is a 6-cylinder tractor, so it has 6 cylinders in its industrial internal combustion engine, and it's 190 horsepower.
Yeah.
So 1 horse, if you imagine back in the day, used to pull a plough. This is equivalent of 190 of them.
Which I think is quite amazing, if to put that into perspective of thinking of that many
horses
to do the work that this is doing. I think that's potentially quite mind-blowing for people to consider
is.
that.
And it's how big the tractors have got now, because my dad, when they used to start, they had a 2140 first brought, which was about 80 horsepower. Then went up to a 2150 or whatever it was, that was 85 I think. 4-wheel drive, which was just mind-blowing at the time, because never seen a 4-wheel drive tractor before. Now they're standard. Now I think every farm, mainly around this area, we're looking at the 160 to 200 mark. Whereas you go back 10 years, 130 was probably the biggest average size tractor. Earlier than that, 80 2-wheel drive tractors. So machineries are getting bigger, mainly because we're taking on more land. And
I think one thing that at the farm at home we could have, I mean, you know, not even that long ago, probably 50 years ago, we might have 6 or 8 men working on the farm. Yeah. And now we're down to my mum, dad and myself, and we're not all there full time.
No, same here. There used to be Dad, Uncle Brian used to work in together. These 2 separate farms, they used to work together tailoring, so doing all that. There used to be my cousin Dan, when he left school, he worked there, and they used to have another worker as well work for him. Yeah. At the minute, there's only me on this farm, and I'm more or less doing a lot on Dad's as well. Farmer Clive, my dad, does as he pleases. I don't know where he is at the minute, but he does as he pleases. And even then, I actually drive a lorry through the winter time when I can. Yeah. To earn extra money and just keep myself busy.
Yeah, I think one thing to note about farming as well, we're sat on a tractor, so there's the tractor driving. But if you think of everything else that goes into you getting a potato crop from planting to picking, if you think of engineers who've done the machinery, you think of agronomists.
Agronomists, the actual seed merchants for a start. The breeders, everyone's put into it, the chains, the consumer as well, actually wanting to buy that product for a start for me to sell it. There's a whole, it's not just the farmers, it's the whole industry. Lorry drivers bring the seed, lorry drivers take the seed away, not the seed away, but the actual products. Bags, so I put all mine in bags, so the paper industry as well, that's involved. It's when you draw out a web of who's involved in agriculture, it's not just the farmer, it's a range of people that you don't even think about.
It's massive, and the opportunities for jobs. If you don't want to be an actual farmer in a tractor working the fields, there's a multitude of things.
There is a multitude. There's a whole industry where you don't have to get your hands dirty, if you like. I mean, you don't even really get too dirty farming. But I tell you what else I've noticed over the years as well, is actually, we've got you two here, we've got a lot more females in agriculture.
Yes.
Now, when I was in agriculture school, I kind of think now 15 years ago, something like that, there was one girl on the course. Now I think I just asked someone else about it, and it's more or less half and half.
Yeah.
And they're getting involved in tractors, but also there's a lot of I actually my wheat merchant. I used to sell to two girls as well that was in the industry. Well, before that, a few years ago, you never would have thought. I mean, even now, just on social media, the amount of people women in agriculture. It's just it's the norm now. Well, if it's not the norm, it should be the norm, because what's the difference? I truly believe that. Like, it's just, I know I'm going on about it like it's phenomenal, but actually, if you look at the industry, it's been dragged out I wouldn't say dark ages, but like the whole macho kind of image. Whereas farmers, we've got big muscles and stuff. I mean, yeah, I do some physical work stacking taters, but half the while, if I need to lift something, where's the teleporter?
Yes.
I don't want to break my back
and
doing that.
And anybody can drive that.
Yeah, my granddad used to say, we used to carry 20-stone bags on our back over planks. Look at your knees now.
Yeah.
How did that work out for you?
Exactly.
Whereas now we're all jumbo bags, keys, quick. We've got to do stuff quicker, we've got more acreage to do.
Exactly.
But also, there's a lot more females in agriculture, which is
fantastic.
I tell you what I find as well, that they get the job done quicker. I think if we're going to say if we're going to say who's better, whenever I ring my merchant up, it's done. I don't know, it's just their personality. Hi, Phoebes.
We'll fly the flag for the women in Lizzie and I.
P&K. I can't remember now, because there's a lot more technical people than me. We just call it base. These three are heading up the field that's not around here. It's up Ramsey. I've got a spread. Was going to spread this afternoon, but the cost of the fertiliser, I'm not just doing this with it. It's going to be, got to put it on proper conditions.
Yeah.
So this is tater fertiliser. So this is the base we put on before we plant the potatoes. The trailer's full again with base fertiliser for the rest of it. And there's also some DAP, like nitrogen, that we're going to put on. We put actually down with the potato crop.
Why do you do that?
So it's a good start when it starts. So we put it in the ground. The potatoes are actually quite. They're a heavy nitrogen food crop, so we need to put some stuff down with it to help them grow nice and big, so I can have loads of potatoes to sell.
Very scientific then, if you wanted to kind of go into.
It is extremely scientific, and even me if I have a farmer, even that goes above my head. But then going back to being a farmer, I'm a mechanic, I'm an accountant, I'm also a dad, husband, brother. So I can't be everything at once to do everything. I want to say social media sensation, but I don't know. Well, I would be now. I've been on your podcast.
Oh, thanks.
So I can't do everything at once. That's why people actually go, the people's jobs, because they've got time to go and find out about this stuff and actually tell me, advise me what I should be doing. I know sometimes I've been in a few meetings where the agronomist has been sat there or the person speaking, I can't work out why farmers don't do this. Yeah. It's like, because you're not writing the check out. At the end of the day, I need to make money.
Yeah.
So 100%. I can put all the. Business at the end of the day. It is. That's literally what I do. I put stuff in the ground, I sell it to make money. Yeah. So when the fertiliser goes up, I make less money. And even the agronomist said you need to put more on, less on. It's my margin at the end of the day. Yeah. Because whatever I'm selling is only be worth X amount. That doesn't fluctuate as much as the minute chemical and diesel does. So the potato trade, for instance, which is a mindful of trade, we can actually look at my equipment. But I sell to chip shops.
Okay, yeah.
So it's very based on what the consumer wants. So 1 minute it could be they don't want any more potatoes because people are not coming to the fish and chip shops.
Yeah.
Or it could be the next week, actually we had a good run of fish and chips, we need some more. And because I used to sell direct. When I was actually starting out farming, I had just an acre that Dad said you could do something with. So I grew potatoes. And I sold early variety potatoes as Premier to the local fish and chip shop, which me being 18, with walking to the chip shop and get handed that's when you can still use cash, a load of cash, and then me go the weekend. Always make sure my drops are on a Friday, so I've got enough money to go to the pub for the weekend. And if someone else could drop by 20 pence a bag, then I lost out. So there's always, but the fish and chip game, they're the same. People don't want to pay for money. So at the minute, I've just literally seen the merchant this morning and just asked the traders doing, and it went stagnant around the 190 mark at Christmas. And it's still, I think it's 220, he said, now. Whereas when you store potatoes, there's a lot more storage in it. It's not like just wheat, you just check the temperature now and again. It more or less doesn't fluctuate. Potatoes are a lot more, if you store them too cold for the chip game, they don't fry correct. Right. If they're too warm, they'll cook themselves. Oh, if you don't have enough ventilation, they then start going bad. So they're a big gamble. I did see someone say that potatoes are a sorry crop, sorry you grew them, or sorry you didn't grow enough of them. And they're a nightmare from the moment you plant them. You just worry about them until the moment you get them in the shed.
That's like the kind of stress that I think of how many potatoes we actually eat, whether it's chips, crisps, like, you love your mash, you love your boiled potatoes. Just thinking about how much stress that is on a farmer. So we can enjoy that. We have it with almost every single meal.
Anyone who grows potatoes will tell you how stressful they are, especially as when you open the shed door and you can just smell that something doesn't smell right.
Yeah.
And then they're all just gone rotten in the middle. Oh, and then you've got to get shot of them quick before the rest of them goes, and then the price isn't there, order's not there. So the price is not shifted to about $2.20, I think you said, for the best frying.
Yeah.
But even then, that's been stagnant forever. So you imagine trying to get shift of all your taters, and they can't get an order either. So it's not even like you can sell them at $2.20. It's not like wheat. We ring up, said, I'll sell a load of wheat this month. Potatoes are very much 1 minute you can have an order. At the start of the week, at the end of the week, you haven't got an order.
So this year I'm lucky enough to be an NFU student and Young Farmer Ambassador. So basically that gives me a platform with my fellow ambassadors to educate people, spread the word about farming. And as part of this, we're going to get the opportunity to go into schools. I know this is something you're already doing. So how did you start going into schools? And I guess what have you learnt from it, and what have people taken from it?
I've learnt a lot actually about education system, children, and how people think and consume stuff as well. I hope they take a lot away from it when I'm finished talking, but my mum is actually a teacher, so it all started back going into one school every year with a tractor, showing the kids, and then Dad used to do it. He used to go all through the crops that we used to grow. And then lockdown happened, and then schools weren't happening, and I just saw the NFU Education had a tweet out saying, do you want to do some lockdown learning if you're farming, take videos and stuff? And I was like, actually, I could probably do this. I'll give it a shot. So now I'm doing, I think, a good 2 or 3 school talks a month.
Which is actually really good going, because I guess children are not only our consumers of the future, but also potentially our employees of the future. And to kind of educate at a young age, it hopefully helps to dispel some of the misinformation that's out there, gives children the facts so they can make decisions from the outset.
It's true, yeah, that gives them the power to realise. I think it's good going back to the real basics. The younger kids, if they can work out that wheat makes bread or flour in between the bread, then that's definitely a win. And I'm a farmer, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Getting up to the older kids, which are more aware about social stuff, if you like. So looking at the welfares, how we're farming with the environment and stuff like that. Then I think that's got to get across. And they're allowed to ask these questions. Like, farms shouldn't be ring fence. No, don't look at that bit. You're only allowed to look at the other stuff. Like Open Farm Sunday is brilliant. Come and look around my farm, look around my shit, have a good poke, ask some questions.
Yeah.
And I do think, like you said, going back to, it's really important the older kids who are able to go to the shop and buy these things are actually thinking about, well, how's this produced, instead of just, because we lost that connection as well. Like, some people actually, my granddad used to have an allotment. So my mum's dad, my dad's dad did a bit, but he also farmed. But so I used to see my granddad growing all the vegetables that he wanted and stuff, going through the war. That's how he picked it up. My dad never wanted to do allotment, too busy, couldn't be bothered. I mean, I certainly don't have the time to allotment. I tried, it failed. I thought, wait a minute, I'll farm anyway, so I can't be doing this twice. And so my son actually wouldn't have that kind of link. And even now, when you go shopping in a supermarket, you don't see the families actually shopping anymore. So you don't see, parent, guardian, whatever the situation is, with a child shopping, picking the veg they want for the week, looking at the quality, looking to see how it is. Now it just gets delivered to the door. Yeah. Someone else picks it up. Someone else chooses what you're eating. You don't actually choose it yourself anymore. Yeah. So there's another step that's been took away from the consumer. So you need to get in again, go back in and explain what's a good.
And that connection, as I say, being able to actually see a whole potato. You want to see potatoes with soil on, or carrots with soil on, and that association that they have come from the ground, and then you're picking them, is so important, because if people aren't connected to that whole process, how can we expect them to buy British and support local and British farmers if the connection isn't there?
The connection isn't there, they don't know, they don't understand it. A lot of kids, when I first started doing it, occasionally said, potatoes grow underground. Like, I took that for granted because I think I know the industry, but they don't know. And in some kids as well, like, as soon as they hold a potato, what can you use a potato for? Chips. Straight away, chips or crisps.
Yeah.
Right? What about ball potato, mashed potato, jacket potato? You have to start the ball rolling before some kids work out. I don't know whether the consumers, everyone's busier, shove chips in the oven. We don't need to make them. My mum still makes them by hand, peels the potatoes. Mm-hmm. And then I actually went off potatoes when I first left home, because I used to be force-fed them as a kid, because Dad used to grow them, so we had to eat them. So then I went off them for a bit, but I'm back on them again. Can I grow them?
Yeah, I think you make an important point about actually cooking the food itself as well, because I think there's a problem with food wastage in the country. There's a problem with, if we look at meat, for example, people maybe not knowing how to use all the cuts of meat, so we go for the simple ones. That means some areas of the carcass are underutilised. And actually, if we have more knowledge, yes, from how things are grown, how they're produced, but also what to do with them,
yes,
then it's a full circle kind of process that, I mean, farmers are doing as good a job as they can at the moment, but farmers need to be better at, as you say, not ring fencing farming, opening up and showing the whole process. So
we call that the boat. So you fill.
It's huge.
That's actually a tiny one.
God.
That is not a big one at all.
I think it's massive.
I'll get through that in a minute. And then we have a set of sugar beet drills.
Oh, so this, right?
These are the sugar beet drills.
I get on board with this because you have a little mini version, right?
I do have a little mini version.
You have the little mini
but
version.
my mini version is a lot more than mini version.
Open?
Yeah, this is a 12-row machine.
Yeah.
So let me move out. This is again proper old school. I think these drills are older than me. And I refuse to. Sugar beet's not worth very much. Hence why I refuse to buy a new one while we keep taping them up. And we use these for 2 days of the year.
Right.
That's all I've used them for. So I don't want to go and spend money on them.
What do you do?
Right. So we put the seed in.
Oh, this
here.
is for planting seeds?
This is for planting sugar beets. The sugar beet seed.
Okay.
You can just see it there. I won't pick it up. Just there. So that's a tiny sugar beet seed that should have been hoovered out.
Is it blue?
It's blue. It's got a special coating on it.
Oh, it's blue.
It's got the coat. They change the colour every year, so they know what seed has been out in you brought last year. So this year we've got the derogation back for neonicotinoids. So that's got neonicotinoids on it, Cruiser.
Yeah.
So it's blue this year, but then next year might be red, green. So they know that the blue, if you've got blue seed left over, then that's neonic. You shouldn't be using that because they've got the derogations took away, so they can identify what seed's what. Then you fill that with seed. They come in little boxes. There's a box kicking around here somewhere, and then the seed drops into the wheel.
In those tiny
little holes. Then that gets turned by the wheel that's on a shaft that turns the chain. They'll turn that, it'll drop down the coulter here and plant the seed. I think they should be every 12 centimetres we've got this set up to, or 14 centimetres.
Bloody hell, it's quite technical, isn't it? It's not just sprinkling it on the floor.
Oh yeah, this is...
Like, you don't just shove it in something.
Oh no, this is...
Like, looking at how intricate it is just for the little seeds to go
It's all geared as well. This is a very simple old school machine. My brother's one, they've got a new sugar beet seed drill, and that is precision planting. That'll plant it exactly where you want it. It also plants in a diamond shape as well. So when you go, so the one seed will be there, the next row will be here, the next row will be there. So when you look down, it looks straight that way, but also it looks straight that way and that way. This is an old school type drill. This was on about earlier about when the satellite, for instance, even though it keeps us straight, we can look at the back. So one of these jumped off, and Dad noticed it, so we can stop straight away instead of having 2 or 3 rows missing through the field.
Amazing.
But also drilling rows, then we go back through and actually hoe the sugar beet.
I thought machinery would not be my thing. Like I thought, animals, livestock, but I find it really interesting.
This is interesting stuff. Yeah. Potatoes are, because you have so much more equipment. We've got another equipment here. This is to put the potatoes in store. This is conveyor belts.
So what you put the potatoes at that end and it comes...
Not quite yet. What you do is... this is my potato shed.
Right.
I don't know where I've gone back to Farmer Luke. This is how I talk into schools. I just do a lot of arm wavements and move about. They were back in the shed. This is my potato store. It is foamed to keep frost out, because if potatoes get cold, they don't fry, go bad. So this is why the shed's been all foamed. I do not store wheat in here.
But it's foam.
It's foam.
Oh my God.
There's about ½ inch of foam all the way around here. So they,
It is as well.
It is foamed.
I don't believe you, but...
It's about ½ inch. That's how much foam there is around the shed.
Oh my gosh, look.
To keep it warm and insulated. These potatoes need to be stored at 8 or 9 degrees.
Amazing.
So this actually will be, that's why the straw in here, because I put bales in here as well. So the quadrant bales, not the Hestons. Hestons are too big, because if I put Hestons in it, I'll lose a lot more space. So I put quads on the side. They go 3 high up the side and all around the back. And then we fill it up with potatoes, the elevator. So we'll start from the start. So
it's kind of like a studio, isn't it? Potatoes.
So
instead of making a studio for sound, it's for heat.
Basically, it keeps the heat in.
Yeah, right.
So the grader, or the boat, if we're putting potatoes into store, this is where the potatoes, we'll harvest it, they'll get tipped in here. So this will take the trailer. So the trailer will back in here, will tip the trailer up, tailgate. The belt takes the potatoes up. There's different ways. These have got spirals on it. So the potatoes will fall off on the spirals. The big potatoes will come down. The tiny little, we call mids, pig potatoes, will fall down in between the spirals, and they'll go off that way to get repurposed for pig food or wherever else I can sell to or give away. Then the bigger potatoes will fall onto the conveyor belt at the back here and then go onto those conveyors.
Right, okay.
Then,
so if there's any kind of
rotten potatoes, clots of soil, just get rid of them off the belt.
Is there like technology that could do that for you?
Oh yeah, there's people that got like X-ray that they can like shoot air to get them off.
Because I know in like the poultry industry they have that for like bad eggs.
Well, it's similar kind of things. They'll go through like a system where they can work out a good potato, bad potato. And I think a lot of them get high pressure washed as well in some factories, so you can see better.
But obviously this works for you.
Obviously this works for me because of cost element.
Yeah, of course. But everybody farms different and everybody has to do what works for them.
This does work quite nice for me. They go up the belt, get in the bag, and then there's the bottom here, I want to say teeter-totter, but I'm not American. The counterbalance.
Right, yeah.
So as soon as it goes, that's weighed enough, it clicks a sensor which will drop the bag that will go down on the stitching line. So the bag will drop off. Yeah. So the bag potatoes go through the clamper, which will clamp the bag shut, and then it'll go through the stitcher to get the bag sewn up.
I just can't believe like how many different equipments there are. I mean, I just thought you jumped in a tractor and got on with it, but no, I am mind blown, especially for potatoes, which we eat every single day almost. Yeah.